تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا ويسر لنا كل عسير وقرب لنا كل بعيد وكثر لنا كل قليل بفضلك وكرمك يا أكرم الأكرمين يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم ارزقنا علما نافعا وقلبا خاشعا ولسانا ذاكرا وجسدا على البلاء صابرا. أما بعد, once again we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we say alhamdulillah for every single ni'mah. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to complete these beautiful days and beautiful nights that we actually went through for these last 10 days. And as we had a habit of giving a different lessons in a different aspects to increase our iman, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highlighted in the Quran when He says, وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. There was a story that I started with, but there was a brother who told me, she was saying, you did not complete the story. You told us about Imam Shafi'i, but in the middle of conversation or in the middle of talk, you shifted to a different story, and subhanAllah, we missed that. And the brother was very keen and very interested to know. That was a few days ago when I spoke about our actions might be a reason for us to lose a great opportunity when it comes to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to the lightning from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So because of our actions, we may lose that opportunity. Now inshallah, the brother wanted to know, like, what was the reason why Imam Shafi'i lost or was unable to memorize the way he used to before whatever happened to him. So he wanted to know what was the reason that made him to lose that strength of memory. So subhanAllah, basically the story was that Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah went to see his teacher.
They have the
And I pointed that box. So he said,
who has that guy?
شكوت إلى وكيعي سوء حفظي فأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي وأخبرني بأن العلم نور ونور الله لا يهدى لعاصي. So basically, there's two things to, like, as a guidelines for us to understand. He says, شكوت إلى وكيعي سوء حفظي. That's number one. So he went to complain to his teacher, Waki', because of his weakness of memorization. Like, he had a very strong memory, and we spoke about the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed Imam Shafi'i. It was like a copy and paste. He would take a book, he would just look into it, and he had a very strong memory in terms of al-hifz, in terms of memorization. But at some point, at some given time, he was trying to memorize something, but he noticed that something was not okay. Something was not going fine as he used to. SubhanAllah. So what he did, he thought maybe, I should go and see my teacher. That's the reason why he decided to go to see his teacher. And this is one of the lessons. When we have an issue, SubhanAllah, when we have an issue within our lives, always try to look at the imams, the shuyukh. Because you may go to see your brother, he may talk to you sympathetically, he may speak to you in a nice way, a kind way, not really to give you a real advice. So when you come to your teacher or your sheikh or someone who's really knowledgeable, he will guide you into the right path. So Imam Shafi'i going to see his teacher. So he says, oh my teacher, I've noticed so far that I'm having some weakness on my memorization. My memorization is very weak and I don't know why. So would you please guide me and tell me what might be a reason? So he's saying within that sentence, شكوت إلى وكيع سوء حفظي, that was number one, the weakness of my head, فأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي. الفاء هنا يعني فاء المباشر, فاء الفورية. Immediately his teacher did not get into any discussion. In another narration he told him, Have you done something wrong? يعني هل فعلت شيئا يعني هل عصيت الله? Did you do something wrong? So we come to know what did he do. So immediately he says, فأرشدني. So his teacher immediately told him, he guided him إلى ترك المعاصي. So he has to abandon, he has to quit the evil actions. Evil actions. يا بلال الإمام الشافعي وهو من هو يعني هذا شيء غريب، لكن الوكيع قال له وأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي. He said he guided me to quit the evil matters or evil actions. Anything that has معصية يعني الأمر الذي يغضب الله فيه عليك أن تتركه. وأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي. Fine. وأخبرني. At this point, this is the third sentence. He released his secret. He released the secret for him. He says, وأخبرني. So he told me. So Waqi', who is my teacher, told me, وأخبرني فأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي وأخبرني بأن العلم نور. And he told me that the knowledge, especially when you are in, من سلك طريقا لا يدرس فيه علما, when you are in a way of seeking knowledge for the cause of Allah. I'm not talking about this knowledge of the dunya, علم الدنيا. لا لا لا. I'm talking about علم الآخرة. يعني العلم الذي يتعلق بالله سبحانه وتعالى. سبحان الله. So قال لأن هذا العلم نور. Clearly told me this knowledge is a light. ونور الله لا يهدى لعصر. And that nur is basically coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you cannot mix the nur from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the evil actions and evil matters of evil acts. So two separate things. You cannot mix them up. If you do this, you cannot do this. If you do that, you cannot do this. Subhanallah. Now the question was, what kind of ma'asi did Imam Shafi'i? يعني قال له وأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي. What kind of ma'asi? What did he do? It is in one of the narration that he was actually going to see his teacher to get knowledge. On his way, on that day, it was very, very windy day. Very windy day. As you know, the wind will blow things around. And there was a lady who was passing by. Because of that strong wind, somehow the dress of that lady was blown up by the wind. And subhanAllah, to the point where the bottom of her legs, subhanAllah, was shown. And بدون قصد, his eyes got into contact of that part of the legs of that lady because of that wind. It was الباب بدون قصد. لذلك يقال أن الإمام علي كرم الله وجهه حينما أتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وقال له في معنى الحديث أن النظر قال له لك الأولى وعليك الثانية. So when you look at something that is evil, accidentally, that is not counted. But when you turn around again and you look purposely, then that counts. So it comes to ma'asi. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغْضُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. The evil eye when you look at something that is haram. So if it happens accidentally for the first time, that's fine, it can be forgiven. But when you turn around and you look for a second time, that means al-maqsud, like you have committed a sin. Now subhanAllah, that is exactly what happened to Imam Shafi'i. That's the reason why, even though he was doing it without any intention, yet, subhanAllah, and that shows us exactly how this knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the knowledge of the deen, is a very sensitive. When you go into it, khalas, you have to take that path and seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's assistance and help in order for you to be guided. And at the end of the day, I brought you a hadith for you to understand, so you don't come back and ask yourself, what is that? But he was not, he didn't want to do that. It just happened by accident. But how come his teacher told him that was ma'as because it was not in a purpose? So there's a hadith of Ibn Abbas. أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن الله تجاوز لي عن أمتي. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this hadith, beautiful ﷺ telling us as a nation that Allah will forgive us for 3 actions that we do in our lives. Even though they are sins apparently, but Allah will forgive us. Number 1, He says, Al-Khata. So that means when you make a mistake, not with intention, something that you didn't know, and you just made a mistake, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you for that because you did not know. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. So as long as you don't know about it, then it's fine. Maybe you went to a restaurant, you were so hungry, you thought it was a halal restaurant, and then you ordered maybe beef or something, they brought you a pork, and subhanAllah you ate a pork, but like you had an idea that it was a halal restaurant when it was before, you thought it was still halal restaurant. At this time when you ate a pork, that is not as dumb, but because you didn't know. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala counts on you if you do know, if you eat while you have knowledge that this is haram. Same way with our brothers, sometimes we go to the restaurant, and people don't care sometimes. Like you need to ask Yafi, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ. Go to that. Allah says, you have to ask. When you go somewhere you're not sure if it's halal or not halal, you need to ask. Because at the end of the day, Allah will ask you why you didn't ask. So that was what? Al-Khata. So any mistakes that you have done, not with a purpose or with intention. What nisyan, when you forget. When you forget something. It happens in our life that we forget. That also Rasul says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to be forgiven because you forgot something that you didn't know. Right? So that was number 2. ثالثا قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وَمَا اسْتُكْرِهُ عَلَيْهِ. When someone forces you to do something bad, could be someone comes in with a gun in the masjid and he tells us, if you don't do what I want, I'm going to kill all of you. SubhanAllah, what happens? At this point, this is exactly what happened to Ahmed ibn Yasir. To his Yasir. So basically Ahmed ibn Yasir, when Abu Jahl was torturing actually Muslims and punished them, and he was punishing his father and his mother. By the way, Abu Jahl killed his mother, the mother of Ammar, right? And she is the first Shahida in Islam. And Ammar was watching what the punishment and torture that was done to his parents. And Abu Jahl came to him. He says, are you still believing in the Ilah of Muhammad? Are you still believing in Allah? SubhanAllah, at this point, Ammar changed his idea. But in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recorded that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recorded in the Quran when He says, إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَ وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ. So Ammar was forced to disbelieve in Allah. Even when he was released by Abu Jahl, he was running to the Prophet, crying, really bad. He says, Ya Rasulullah, Astaghfirullah li, laqad kafartu billah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to him in the Quran, came down from Surah Al-Nahl, if I'm not mistaken, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made clear that no, his iman is still there because he just pronounced it by his tongue. But in the qalb, إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَ وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ Iman. SubhanAllah, this is the number 3. That sometimes it may happen, you go somewhere, let's say go home to be in a certain situation, but inshallah it will happen. But if you do stay in a situation where, subhanAllah, you've been forced to say something, and you think if you don't, you are in a dangerous situation, you may die, then you are in a situation where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you because that was not coming out of you purposely with intention, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum, ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, inshallah. Allahumma innaka afuwwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Allahumma innaka afuwwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Allahumma innaka afuwwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.